We recently visited Camp Sumter Military Prison in Andersonville, Georgia. And what you're looking at is a picture, or is a diagram actually, of what the prison looked like with prisoners on each side of a creek that runs through it in the middle. And that's a pretty good representation of what it looked like. And this is a diorama that was in a museum there in Andersonville that gives a realistic look at what it looked like. It was quite a sight. It was for Northern prisoners. This is a picture of what the Confederate uniforms looked like for much of the Civil War. And this is a picture of what the prisoners would have worn into the prison from the North. They had a lot of different uniforms, and the South may have had also, but these are the only ones at the particular museum.
All right, a little shorter breath. Doesn't look very hilly, but it is. So this is a good view of the grounds. So you can see the creek there in the middle. That bridge is going over it. That's the exit point of the creek that went through the fort. The entry point is that other bridge over there. And it was expected that the prisoners would drink on that end of the creek and then go to the bathroom on this end of the creek. But in the summertime, as we all know, in the South it doesn't rain much. The water would just kind of collect because it was blocked by the fort walls to a degree. There wasn't much space for the water to flow through. So the prisoners were basically in a swamp down there, and you can see by the white stakes in the distance the southern edge of the fort, and or the prison I should say. And then so most of the prisoners in the beginning were just on the slope on both sides of the creek, and then they expanded the prison further north. But what a terrible place for anywhere between 30 and 50,000 people to have to congregate. So this is a pretty accurate representation of what the prisoners had to sleep under. There was no other shelter within the walls other than what they could make themselves out of sticks if they could find them, and clothing, blankets, etc. That they brought with them or took from others. And again, between the rain, the blistering heat in the summertime, the sewage in the ditch, it was a tough place to survive. And you can see above the wall the rooster's nest that they had, every 10 meters or so, going around the perimeter, where if a prisoner walked between this inner wall that you can see here, the low fence, and the outer wall, they were shot. So that was the only way to keep things under control in the prison.
So we're at the monument field here, section of the park, and there's several of these stone monuments that were erected by the various states. There's even a memorial up there to Claire Barton and her part in recognizing the 12,000 prisoners here that had died. There's monuments from Wisconsin, Ohio, Massachusetts, Tennessee. The largest, I guess, is Wisconsin, but it just really brings to reality the number of souls lost here. Just another grim reminder of this place.
This is the entrance to the Andersonville National Cemetery. And Lincoln enacted the national cemeteries at the end of the Civil War. And I believe this may have been the first one. And this is following the Christmas holiday, just before New Year's. And all the graves of all the soldiers buried here, the northern prisoners as well as others, are decorated with wreaths. And the prisoners that died here, that were part of the northern armies, are in these graves very close together, because these were mass graves. And others that are also buried here are at the normal distance. But the only reason they know is a gentleman that was here kept the log of all the prisoners that were buried in these various graves. And a very sobering sight. When out of 50,000 prisoners over the length of the prison, 13,000 of them died, and at one time there were 33,000 in the camp. But it's quite a sight, all these graves.